So you've figured out that the path to overtaking all of your competition is putting them hours in by yourself at the pitch, but you're struggling to get the best out of yourself during these solo sessions. From the age of 12, I've been training individually, and over the years I've made many mistakes and uncovered many secrets to training alone. First step to a successful solo session is the biggest mistake that I've made and many other players make too. It's not keeping it position specific enough. It's easy to just see yourself as a footballer and just do football sessions. But to really get the most from your training, you have to dig a little deeper. So for example, over the years, I've pretty much exclusively played as a striker. And so the most important thing for me to train is my shooting and my finishing. That's a striker's job and a striker's priority. But my training for a long time didn't reflect this. I wouldn't train like a striker, and so when it came to match day, I didn't take chances like a striker would. If you're a striker, you likely need to practice your shooting and finishing inside the box more. If you're a midfielder, practice your passing and your long shooting. A winger, practice your 1v1s and crossing. It sounds unbelievably simple when it's put like this, but so many of us don't apply this to our training. If we were all to watch your individual session, we should be able to tell what position you play. So make sure the scenarios you're putting yourself in your training are scenarios that are going to happen on the pitch. Step number 2 is to go into the session with somewhat of a plan. There's no doubt that you'll benefit from going into sessions with an idea of what you're going to do in them. Essentially, all sessions will look the same in terms of the structure. You'll probably start with a warm-up, then a technical warm-up, then probably into some dribbling and some passing, then some position-specific work, and then finish off with a cool-down. But the variation comes in the drills that you're going to do to fit them categories. And honestly, in my opinion, my advice would be to just do the drills that you feel like doing. This is of course assuming that they're actually good drills and they're not just standing around taking free kicks. One of the massive benefits of training alone is that you're in complete control of what you do. And so you should use this. You don't want your solo sessions to become something that you dread. If you keep them enjoyable, then it'll be easy to keep it consistent. If you only have a certain amount of time that you can train, for example, you can only train for an hour before you have to go to school, then it could be a good idea to time how long each section will take. So maybe you'll do a warm-up for 10 minutes, your passing and dribbling will be 20 minutes, etc, etc. And if you're not limited to an amount of time that you have to train, then I would simply make a list of the drills that you're going to do and spend as much time as you want on each one before moving on to the next. If you have enough time to train for longer, then I wouldn't restrict yourself to a certain time. The more training you can get in, the better. If you're watching a video like this, I can tell that you're serious about your football, and so it would be wrong of me to not share a free resource that I think would be perfect for you. We've recently created a free course and a free checklist that takes you through every milestone I achieved to sign my first contract and how you can replicate it to get the same results. I'll leave it as the first link in the description and make sure to grab your copy whilst you can. We're going to start charging for it after 7 days. So make sure you don't miss out, and I'll see you inside. Tip number 3 is all about maintaining a high intensity during your sessions. I know how easy it is to slack off for a 5 or 10 minute period throughout your solo sessions. There's nobody there to tell you that it isn't good enough, and so it's easy to slip into them bad habits. But it's important that you set them standards for yourself in your training. If you train like it doesn't really matter and it's not important, then that's going to reflect on game day too. When you catch yourself in them moments when you want to slack off for a little bit, try and pull yourself back round and raise the intensity again. Intensity should always be the priority over quantity, but it's when you get intensity and quantity that you're going to beat everyone. And if you physically feel as though you can't train at an intense level, maybe you're sore or maybe you've simply been training for too long, then it's probably time to end the session, go recover and come back again the next day. And the final tip for professional level individual sessions is being creative and using your environment. Unless you're a pro player at a top academy, then you're not always going to be able to train on full-size pitches with 11-a-side goals. And this is where your creativity comes into things. See, if we're going to get the benefits that we want from our individual sessions, then that means we have to stay consistent with our training. And this can be made hard when we don't always have a pitch we can go and use to train. So we have to be creative. Realistically, as long as you have a football, you can do a session anywhere. Of course, there are some things you might not be able to do. For example, if you don't have a goal, then you're not going to be able to practice your shooting. But there are so many things that you can do using your surroundings. A wall is going to be your best training partner when training alone. If you can find a solid wall to rebound the ball from, then use it as much as you can. Even if you're limited to just inside your house, over the years I've used the bottom of the couch to do individual sessions. Whilst of course there's no denying that it's not ideal, it's 100% better than nothing, and these sessions all build up. Consistency is going to be absolutely vital if you are to make it to the professional level. And they have been my 4 tips to having a great solo session. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to access the free course and the free checklist, then make sure to check out the first link in the description before it's too late. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you soon.